the damnedest story in the history of the NFL draft. I mean, literally the damnedest, most disgusting, most despicable, most shocking, most preposterous plunge in the history of the NFL draft. Shedeur Sanders, who should have gone first overall to Tennessee, finally going in the 5th round with the 144th overall pick to the worst franchise in all of pro football, to the Cleveland Browns, who had already passed on him 6 times and taken 50 picks above Shedeur. Dillon Gabriel, a quarterback I know very, very well. A pretty good quarterback, but not even in Shedeur's universe. 50 picks earlier, the Cleveland Browns had taken Dillon Gabriel. So this story ends in, to me, the worst way possible, because I was convinced that my Dallas Cowboys, Gerald Wayne Jones Jr., who does have great admiration for Dion, who knows and loves Dion, would be somewhat threatened, but not threatened the way the rest of the league would be threatened by Dion, was sitting there after having raved about Shedeur last night and how shocked he was, Jerry was, that he was still on the board, saying that Shedeur had the highest football character, which he does, with Dallas sitting there at 149, just 5 more picks. I was convinced that Jerry was going to finally jump on Shedeur the way he should have earlier in the draft, that Jerry would, so to speak, stockpile Shedeur for 2 years behind Dak and then go win a Super Bowl with Shedeur Sanders. I thought that was going to be the happy ending to the despicable story, the black eye for the NFL, the all-time shameful NFL story of we're all going to band together. We're going to all get the unofficial memo that we're going to teach Dion and Shedeur a lesson. We don't do it the way you do it. We don't want your kind in our league. We don't want DJs before games and at halftime in the locker room. We don't want our rookie quarterbacks to be draped already in jewelry, to be driving 3 exotic cars because you made $3 million to play college football the last couple of years in Boulder, Colorado. That was the story that I hoped would end happily, with Shedeur Sanders, who grew up in Dallas, coming home to Dallas to play for my Dallas Cowboys. And here's the punchline. You ready for this? Who do I always tell you is the best GM now in all of sports? Whose team did I pick going into last season to win it all, way ahead of everybody else? Because that team had the best GM, Howie Roseman, who had won free agency, this is going back obviously before last season, and won the draft, not this draft, but the last draft, and become the best GM in all of sports as his Eagles rolled over Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs to win the Super Bowl. You heard it here first. I called it, and it was all because of Howie Roseman. And what did Howie Roseman just do to me again? Right on schedule. Who owned that 144th pick? The Philadelphia Eagles. Howie Roseman is such a genius. He's playing chess over all the checkers being played around the NFL by all the blind fools, many of whom run these drafts for these teams. As Mel Kiper just said on ESPN, This league is clueless when it comes to picking quarterbacks, and it just is. It always has been. See Tom Brady in the 6th round. See Joe Montana, the 1A greatest quarterback ever, in the 3rd round. See two-time MVP Lamar Jackson going with the last pick in the 1st round. And we can go on and on about Marino going at the bottom of the draft and on and on. This league doesn't know quarterbacks, and it did not know Shedeur. Shedeur's still going to figure this out, but here's the point. Howie Roseman figured it way out because he saw Jerry Jones coming, and Howie Roseman did not want Shedeur Sanders at home in Dallas with maybe eventually, ultimately, Dion coaching the Dallas Cowboys. Those two things together would be a problem for the Philadelphia Eagles in the future, not the near future, but more the distant future. 2, 3 years, 4 years down the line. That would have been a problem for Jalen Hurts and company and Howie Roseman's organization in Philadelphia. And Howie said, he gets a call from Jimmy Haslam and company in Cleveland. Oh, you want this? You can have this pick. Sure. I'll take your last 2 picks. I'll take 166 and 192 for 144 because he knew what was coming. He knew exactly what they were going to do. They were going to snatch Shedeur Sanders right out from under my Dallas Cowboys at 149. We did not have a pick on the 3rd day of the draft until 149 because we didn't have a 4th rounder. But the reason this made so much sense to me was we had 2 5th round picks and 2 6th round picks and 3 7th round picks. So we could go get whoever's left on the board that we love, that we've fallen in love with. We could use that first pick in the 5th round, 149, 5 picks later than 144, to take Shedeur Sanders, and I am convinced we were going to do that. And instead, kaboom, Jimmy Haslam, who once upon a time, remember, traded up in the 1st round when he saw Johnny Manziel falling. I love Johnny Manziel. I would have taken him 1st overall, but I kept saying live on national TV on ESPN, I have fear factor. If he has drug or alcohol issues, which he had had through college, I'm out. But the Cleveland Browns said, we're in. Dow Loggins was the quarterback coach at that point. He's texting with Johnny, and remember, Johnny texted him, let's go wreck the league. And Cleveland at that point, this is 2014 draft, traded from 26 up to 22 to take Johnny Manziel. Well, now, do the Cleveland Browns have any idea what they're doing with their quarterback situation? They do not, because they have proven to be the worst organization in all of football. And I have some respect for Andrew Berry, and he actually did some good things in the draft this year, but I'll get to the worst thing that he did. Right here, right now, Shedeur should be playing, reuniting with his teammate at Colorado, Travis Hunter, because the Cleveland Browns had Travis Hunter right in their lap, and they said no, and that was the 2nd dumbest move made in this draft, because Tennessee not taking Shedeur was the 1st dumbest move in this draft. Everybody who passed on Shedeur Sanders made dumber moves. Dumb. He's going to be a star in this league. I was on record before the year started that he should go 1st or 2nd in the draft, that he and Travis should go 1-2 or 2-1, depending on what team finished last and needed a quarterback, or vice versa. Cleveland also needed a quarterback. Cleveland obviously should have taken Shedeur, but they had Travis Hunter right in their lap the 1st time, and they traded out and let Jacksonville trade him. All-time dumb. So they took Mason Graham, who I like a lot, but he ain't no Travis Hunter. So you could have had Travis Hunter and Shedeur Sanders, but you had all these picks. So then you went back to the top of the 2nd round, Cleveland did. You had 2 picks. You had the 1st pick in the 2nd round and the 4th pick in the 2nd. No, 2nd and 4th, I believe it was. Am I right? 2nd and 4th. Maybe it's 1st and 4th. 1st and 4th. The point is, my man Lil Wayne has texted me after Thursday night saying, well, tomorrow night, Cleveland's surely going to take him with one of those 2 picks. That was his prediction. And I thought, I don't want to see him go to Cleveland because it's just a sad sack franchise. So what did they do? Jimmy Haslam got all enamored of Deshaun Watson, even though he had all of his issues that they knew full well were going to be bigger and bigger issues. And not only did they take him, they way overpaid for him. They were bidding against themselves. I have no idea what they were doing. And they basically did, instead of wrecking the league, as Johnny once said, they wrecked the franchise by taking Deshaun Watson, who was a broken man, given all of his off-field issues, and never obviously came close to living up to the money that they paid him, and now he's torn his Achilles, and I don't know what his fate is going to be. He's still on the roster, still property of the Cleveland Browns, but they had to go get Joe Flacco. And the only more shocking thing than Shedeur falling to 144th to me right here, right now in the National Football League is that Joe Flacco is still playing at age 40. I used to call him Joe Fluco because during the regular season he could be pretty terrible, but he had that one playoff run for Ray Lewis and company in Baltimore that was all-time great. Look at his playoff numbers. They're just shockingly great. So he's a nice guy. He's a good guy, good locker room guy. He knows ball. He knows how to play the position. And he's just somebody who can get you through the night and get them through the night and get them through the night and get them through the night. He can get you. He can bridge you to whatever your next plan A is at quarterback. And he is now plan B, C, D, E, or F in Cleveland. And I guess he's going to start game one because what else? Is it Kenny Pickett? I never liked Kenny Pickett. I didn't like him before the draft. Didn't like him in college. Didn't like him for the Steelers. Didn't like him at Pitt. I just didn't like him. And now he's your backup quarterback, so to speak. And Dylan Gabriel, again, he will really compete at a high level. Smart, tough, nice arm, underrated arm. He can wing it. Not a great arm, but a decent enough arm, and he can move. He ran for a lot of big first downs and touchdowns at the University of Oklahoma. Obviously played at Central Florida. He's played a lot of football, Central Florida OU, then last year at Oregon. He's really good. Is he 50 picks better than Shedeur Sanders? That is laughably, preposterously, insanely wrong. But he's on the roster, and so then Jimmy Haslam, who had dinner, son, they took out, they know Dion, they took Shedeur out to dinner. They love him. So that's the only positive vibe I can tell you here. But I don't know that do they have a plan now with five quarterbacks on the roster? What are you thinking? Is this just trade bait? Is this just another great classic trade piece? Are they going to sit back and see who comes after Shedeur? Maybe when quarterbacks start to go down training camp or going into the fall, will somebody trade for Shedeur? I don't know what they're doing because they never know what they're doing. Here's what I do know, is that Shedeur is if you play this right, he could be the best thing that ever happened to the Cleveland Browns. The best thing that ever happened since Jim Brown to the Cleveland Browns. Book it. Again, do I want to see him start game one? That offensive line was just decimated last year, but there are pieces. If they could get it back healthy, they've got nice pieces because Joel Bitonio is a 7-time Pro Bowler, and they got Wyatt Teller at the other guard, and then they got Jack Conklin at right tackle. They got pieces in their offensive line, and they actually made some good draft picks. I like Mason Graham. Is he Travis? No, that's ridiculous. Schweshner, the kid from UCLA. He's a tackling machine. I watched him 4 or 5 times. He's an overachiever because he's a walk-on.